Welcome back to the video course on Soft Skill 1. In this lecture, we will continue with our previous topic, that is parts of speech used in English grammar. The topics that we covered in our last class were the remaining two C's, that is consideration and concreteness, the parts of speech introduction, its elements like the noun, its types, countability, and gender of nouns, then pronoun and its types. So we started discussing the various types of pronouns, and we also discussed the first category of pronoun, that are personal pronouns. Now in this video we will continue with the second type of pronouns, that are possessive pronouns. So what are possessive pronouns? Possessive pronouns, example my, our, your, his, her, their, its, determiners, mine, ours, yours, his, hers, theirs, etc. So as you can see that all these pronouns are used to express ownership, possession or relationship. For example, if somebody asks you, whose pen is this? Then if it's yours, then you will say, it's mine. Or you will say, no, it belonged to him. So here you are showing that who is the owner of that particular pen, or who has the possession of that particular pen. Or you could say answer like, this pen belongs to him. So here you are referring to the person who is actually the owner of the particular commodity, of the example pen, house, anything it can be. And so it is followed by a noun when it is a determiner, and such pronouns are called as possessive pronouns. Example, this is my room. So the room is a noun, and my, it is showing that okay, this room belongs to me, and you're using a determiner here. Determiner, you're using this is the determiner, which is telling you that the room belongs to you. That is, you are telling everyone that this is my room, I am the owner of this room. The possessive pronoun in its predicative use cannot be followed by a noun. Now what we have said here, like you cannot use a possessive pronoun like my in a form like this is mine room. So you never say this is mine room. In fact, in place of this you will say the room is mine. So you try to follow the right structure also. If you are using a determiner, then you will not use the possessive pronoun in the predicate form, right? So what the point to note here is that it is always used as a determiner and never as a predicative. So you will never use a possessive pronoun in the predicate form. This is a lock and that is its key. You will never use that key is its. No. If you're using this is a lock and that is its key. So you will always use the possessive pronoun in the subject form only and not in the predicative form. Now the next category of pronouns are demonstrative pronouns. Now what are demonstrative pronouns? Example, this, that, these, those, etc. They are used to point to or demonstrate people or things they stand for. So if you want to show something, you want to point out at something, like then you will use such pronouns. Example, this is our new house. So you are actually pointing to a house and maybe telling a person or group of people that this is, or the particular building is your house. Now that is the bridge built by the British. So here you are also indicating that that particular bridge, or maybe any bridge that you are coming across, and you're just telling people that that particular is the bridge was built by British. So you are pointing something, referring to some particular thing, place, etc. or person, and then you are using the pronoun that is demonstrative pronoun. Then we have demonstrative pronouns have number contrast. So this, these, that, those, that is all these are the demonstrative pronouns. The basic function of demonstratives is to indicate the nearness or distance of the person or object referred to from the speaker. So like you will say, this house is too far from my place. So here you are telling the nearness or the distance. So you are actually telling here that this particular house is very far from your place. Now some of the uses of demonstrative pronouns are shown below. So let us look at these examples. The first here is when pointing. This is my brother Ravi. That is his new car. So you are telling to a boy or a grown up that is standing there, you are telling this is my brother and that is his new car. So a vehicle some is also there, a new vehicle, and you're pointing out that okay, this particular car belongs to your brother. Similarly, you have when a specific category is implied. So also when you are referring to some particular section, group or category, then also you will use a demonstrative pronoun. Example, those who apply late will not be considered. So here you are referring to all those people who will be applying or who will be making a late application. Their application will not be considered or taken into consideration. Next you have when there is a reference to a previous statement or a statement that follows like this is what I told them. That is my opinion on the matter. So here you are referring to some particular thing that you told. Maybe you told them a solution, maybe you told them some secret, anything. So you are referring to that particular statement that was made by you, or this is my opinion. So your opinion is now based on some situation that happened. If this situation will change, then this opinion might also not follow. So you are telling this is my opinion on the matter. Now this matter will be some specific or in relation to something that was already told you previously. Then the next category of pronouns that we are having are reflexive pronouns, right? So what is a reflexive pronoun? Firstly, we will see to it. A reflexive pronoun is formed by attaching selves to the objective form of the pronoun. So if you come across words like myself, ourselves, yourself or yourselves, himself, herself, themselves, itself, everywhere you can see you are using self in terms of a singular and selves when you are referring to plural. So all these are reflexive pronouns. So a reflexive pronoun is used as a substitute for a noun in the objective case. So when you want to substitute for a noun, then you are using a pronoun, and when in the object form you are using substitute of a noun, then you prefer to use a reflexive pronoun. Here we will see examples also that how this reflexive pronoun is being used. That is as a direct object. Govind saw Govind in the mirror, right? So you can see here that the name of the person is Govind, but if we are using like two times Govind, we're using Govind saw Govind. So this sentence looks, a little um, awkward. But here, if you are using Govind saw himself in the mirror, so what did he see? He saw himself. In the direct object case form, you are using it, and here is where reflexive pronoun comes into play. This is used to avoid an awkward construction, like two times you are mentioning the same person's name in a single sentence. Then Gayatri laughed at Gayatri. This is again a structure that looks awkward in its construction. So in place of these two words being repeated, you can use a reflexive pronoun and write down the sentence as Gayatri laughed at herself. So now this looks more short, clear, and a better sentence by using a reflexive pronoun. Then again, it can also be used as an indirect object. The above category that we actually talked about was how you are using a reflexive pronoun as a direct subject object, right? But here you will can also make use of a reflexive pronoun as an indirect object. Now, how you can use a reflexive pronoun as an indirect object? Like Sujata made herself a new dress. So the object is a new dress, and indirect object, that is Sujata made herself. So this object is telling you that the dress was made by her, and what was made? A dress was made. So the direct object is the dress, the indirect is herself, and you are using a reflexive pronoun as an indirect object. Similarly, Raghu gives himself airs. So Raghu gives himself a lot of importance. What Raghu gives? Importance to him, priority to him. And who does he give? Himself. So it's not like someone else is giving him priority or importance or air, but he himself is giving. Again, reflexive pronoun is being used as an indirect object. Now moving further, we have the next category of pronoun, that is a relative pronoun. So as you can see from the word itself, we have relative pronoun, which means having some relation or showing some form of relation. Example: who, whom, which, what, that, etc. Now, a relative pronoun relates or refers back to a noun or pronoun called its antecedent. So, if you want to refer, if you want to tell something that you have already told, maybe like you're talking about a house or your newly built house, and first you have told that, okay, this is my house, this is red in color, and then you are telling, this is my house which was built 2 years ago. So now you're referring to the same house, and you are telling some other fact about the same the particular house, showing the relation with this statement and the house. So here is where you will use relative pronoun. You can also use it like, this is my house where earlier there was a land vacant. So you can mention any statement like that, but when it is showing a relation with some statement that has been previously made, then this particular relative pronoun is also called antecedent, because it is referring back to something or a noun or a pronoun that has already been discussed before. Then it also joins the clauses. So it is a pronoun as well as a conjunction. Like relative pronouns introduce relative clauses and noun clauses. Like if you're joining two sentences, this is the place where I lived a year ago. So one sentence is, this is the place. This sentence is complete. Now you're telling, I lived a year ago. It is again a complete sentence. But when you're using the word which, this is the place where, or I used to live a year ago, this is the class which was vacant last year. So you are using this reflexive pronoun here to connect the two sentences, and that is where it plays part of as a conjunction. Similarly, you have, those who live in glass houses should not throw stones. So those who live in glass house is a complete sentence. You should not throw stones is another. But when you are using the relative pronoun who, then you are combining the noun clauses here. Like who live in glass houses, this is a noun clause, and should not throw stones, the other sentence, and you are combining both of them by using the relative pronoun, that is who. Similarly, we have I don't know who is standing at the gate. Again, you are using this who as a conjunction. Then which is used also as a sentence relative pronoun to introduce the relative clause in a sentence. So if you want to also introduce or talk about some clause which is showing a relation to an already expressed, already talked about noun or pronoun, like they eat snakes. So here it is a noun clause. They eat snakes. When you're using they, then it becomes a pronoun clause. So this pronoun clause is being joined by using the conjunction or using the relative pronoun here, that is which. They eat snakes, which is unusual here, which is playing part to join the relative clause in a sentence. Okay. Now we will discuss the next type of pronoun, that are interrogative pronouns. Example: who, whom, whose, which, and what. So what are interrogative pronouns? The forms of relative pronouns and interrogative pronouns are basically identical. So you must be wondering that in the relative pronoun also you have seen who, whom, which, and again in the interrogative pronoun also I'm using the same set of examples, but their functions are different. The former joins the clauses. So the relative pronoun, they are used to join clauses. Clauses, you mean group of words. But the latter, that is interrogative pronouns, they are used to ask questions. So if you are asking any query like how to do this, who is the culprit, who did this, where are you, whose is this, in all these questions you are using interrogative pronoun. Example: who can come as the subject or the object in a clause. Both ways you can use who. Here who refers only to person and not to things. So if you are using particularly the who out of the interrogative pronouns, then it is used in the subject or object to ask about a particular person or to refer to some person, whether in the object or in the subject. Like, who discovered America? So you are asking the name of the person, or who was the one who discovered America. Then who did you invite for lunch? Again you are asking about a proper noun or some singular person. Who are you talking about? So again this is some proper noun that will come in the answer, maybe any uh, Ram, Sham, anyone who you are talking about is coming as an object of the question that is used in the as interrogative pronoun. Again in current English, whom is rarely used as the object. Who is the preferred form. So you don't use who everywhere when you are talking about object. In object, when we are asking questions, then we start using whom. For example, whom is the possessive form of who. So if you are telling who is the one responsible for it, then in the object form you will use whom. And whose, like whose pen is this, whose paper is this, whose specs are these. If you are asking about the owner or the possession, who has the possession, then you will use the word whose. It can stand for both animate and inanimate nouns in interrogative expressions. So we will see how it can stand for both of them. Like, do you know whose book won the award this year? So whose book? You are asking who wrote the book that won the award. So it refers to the author basically, right? Similarly, you have I borrowed a book from the library whose pages are all torn. So here you are referring to a book whose pages are torn. So the answer will be one particular book or the name of the book whose pages you got and they were torn. So again a proper noun will be the answer to this particular question. In this way we use the interrogative pronouns. Similarly, few more interrogative pronouns we will cover, like which is used for both people and things when there is an implied choice or selection. So we discussed that who is used for some particular person, right? Whom is used in the object when you are asking question. Whose is used when you want to know who is the owner of that particular commodity or thing. Now which is used when there is a choice or an option. For both people also you use which, and for things also you use which. Like which card game do you like to play? So there are n number of games, and out of that you are asking which game, which particular game do you like to play? Again you have which teacher do you like best? So there may be 5 teachers, 6 teachers who are teaching you, and you are asking which particular teacher out of them do you like. Then what as subject or object is used to refer to things only. So what you are, if you're using the word what, like what did you just say, what did I just hear, what was the answer, what was the date, then you are definitely referring to a particular thing. What is not used for person or for living things, like what is in your pocket, what is wrong with you? So in both the cases, you are referring to, in what is wrong, you are referring to some abstract thought or feeling or emotion because of which you are behaving weird. And in what is in your pocket, you are referring to what item have you kept in your pocket. So again, you are mentioning something. Then note, who is used for asking questions about a person's name, right? Who is used for asking about person. What for seeking information about a person's profession. So again, what if you are asking what do you do for a living? It's not that you are referring to some answer that is living. What is always used for non-living. So here you are asking what do you do for a living? So it means what job, what profession, what service are you involved in? So again, this thought has been turned into abstract and not to a living set. So what is always used when you are referring to something, some idea or some abstract thought. Now who is that gentleman talking to your father? Again, when you are using who, then you are referring to a proper noun. So here the answer is he is Mr. Reddy. So for any who that you are asking a question, the answer will always be a proper noun like Mr. Reddy. Then what is he? He is an artist. So you are asking to some person, but what you are asking? The profession. So you are not getting the answer in a proper noun, but as a profession that is treated as a thing or a non-living entity. Then you have which presupposes a set and the person is being asked about his choice. As I already told you, then whenever you are using which, that is a personal pronoun, then you have a choice out of maybe n number of things that you have as options. So what on the other hand does not presuppose any set and there is no choice. Like if you are asking what is he, so he must be doing one particular category of job. What is in your pocket? So there must be something, one thing might be in your pocket. You don't have options that you can keep and then you can tell later. What already you have, that only you can answer. Like which do you want? So which again the answer is the red one. So you have choices and you picked one particular color. Then you have what do you want? Then you said some coffee. So you have here a list and then you answered some coffee. Now let us move further. We have the last category, that is indefinite pronouns. What are indefinite pronouns? indefinite pronouns constitute a heterogeneous set. One can go about classifying them differently using different criteria. Like now, indefinite pronouns another have a lot of subcategories like each, every, all, much, many, more. We will look at them one by one, right? Example: each refers to two or more people or things, whereas every refers to three or more. So you always have to remember this, because there is only a slight difference in the use of each and every. Both are universal pronouns. Both you can use for both people or for things. But the only difference is that when you are talking about only two things or more than two things, then you are using each. And when it is three or more, then you can use every, right? Example: each proposes a set supplied by the context, every does not. So if you are using the word each, then you are mentioning to some standard text or some standard statement that applies to each of the members that you are mentioning in the particular group. Example: Rajiv walked into the room and gave a sweet to everyone. So here you are discussing one and all. So what word we are using? Every. And when you are using word like each of you should attend the function. So here every person individually is mandated to attend the function. So here when you are referring to some particular statement or text that is implied to everyone individually, then you are using each. But when you are generalizing something, then you are using every, right? Next we have assertive pronouns. Assertive pronouns like much, many, more, most, also little, less, least, few, fewer, and fewest. So these are the three forms that you are using. Then someone, somebody, something, several and enough, one, etc. Now here the one also has different use. Like the use of one pronoun is a little typical. In American English, he is used in place of one. Like if you answer the question that he who is honest is always rewarded. So the one who is everyone in the group was honest, rewarded for one's honesty. So here at times you can replace the his with one's, but in British English you never replace, but you use one as a common pronoun. Example: we will cover few sentences of these assertive pronouns, like you need more milk for this sweet. So more is always used for something that is in addition to. Not much milk is lost. So when you are making some general answer statement and not in addition, then you will use much. Most of the students did not turn up for the function. So when you are generalizing something for majority, then you will use most. We need more number of math teachers. Then what we discussed about one, here we have one should love one's neighbor. You can also use in American English like he should love his neighbor. So in that form you can generalize, but we do not generalize because we refer to British English. Then we have one should not think too much of oneself. Then have you packed enough food for a day? Again, enough is an assertive pronoun. Can someone help me with accounts? I hope somebody picks up the phone. So somebody, when you are referring to maybe a group of people, out of that any one person could be the person you are referring to. Someone can be anyone, no one from any set of people or any particular group. Now moving forward, we will cover the persons that are involved in pronouns. So person is a grammatical category in pronoun which has three divisions everywhere, that is first person, second person and third person. So the first person always refers to the person speaking or writing. Like I am speaking now, I am giving this video lecture, so I am the first person. The second person to the person addressed. Suppose like you are listening to this lecture, so here you are the second person. And third person to the person spoken or written about. Like we are discussing about pronouns and we discussed an example, then that example would be the third person if the person was a living entity. So first is who is talking, second is who is listening, and third is about whom you are talking or writing or telling. Example, in a speech situation, the first and second person are necessary present. Suppose like you are in the class and we are discussing about maybe the classroom. Then the classroom is a third person but it is non-living. So the two persons are only present. That is the first person, I am the speaker, I am telling you. Second person, you are listening to me. And what we are talking about? We are talking about the class. Maybe that our class has blue color walls. It has a green color board. It has four lights. So we are discussing about the class. So for any speech or for any communication, there are two persons to be necessarily present. The third person may be there or may not be there. But if I'm in the class and I am talking about maybe our prime minister, so I'm telling that our first prime minister was Jawaharlal Nehru, then I'm telling about his birthday is celebrated as Children's Day. So here, who's the third person? He becomes the third person. Like first person examples are I, me, my, mine, myself, we, us, our, ours and ourselves. We are together in this. So we is the first person who is talking, promising or telling. Second person, I am with you. So the first person, that is I am promising, I am with you. Here you is used as second person. Use always the used for denoting the second person, like you, yours, yourself and yourselves. Then we have the third person. Third person, like where is the student whom I met yesterday? Today he is not there. So suppose I enter the class and I'm asking about one particular student who is not present today, then he becomes the third person and he is used here for denoting that third person. The other words that you use for denoting the third person are he, his, him, himself. Is if he is a male, then you will always use these masculine pronouns to denote. Then we have she, her, herself to denote if it's a female, and it, its, itself if it is a thing, and they, them, their, theirs and themselves are all used when it is something for a group in plural form. Now that was all about pronouns. Now let us begin the third category of part of speech, that is adjectives. Now what are adjectives? Adjectives say something more about a noun. Like if I'm telling you, I have a pen. So that is, a pen is a noun. I'm telling, okay, I have a pen. But when I'm telling I have a black pen, now here I'm telling something more about this pen, that is the color of the pen or maybe the ink of the pen. Both can be black, right? Any of them can be black too. So if I'm telling I have a black pen, so that is telling you something additional about the pen that I'm having. And so such words that describe or that tell something extra in addition about a noun, they are said to be adjectives. Like an adjective can take an adverb of degree, intensifier like too, very, etc. also. It has comparative and superlative forms as well. Also, if I'm telling how is the weather, someone is asking me and my answer is it is hot. So yes, it is a hot day today. But there is this other person who steps in and I'm asking how is the weather, and he is telling it is too hot today. So here you are using the intensifier to, that is also an adverb of degree, but you are using that to describe a hot day. So in that case, a hot day becomes a noun and too hot is acting as here an adjective that is primarily an adverb, but it is used as an intensifier in this case. Like adjectives in English are not affected by number or gender or case because they do not have to agree with the noun they modify. So that was a little introduction about the adjectives, their basic usage, and now we will look at them in detail when we will cover the types of adjectives. The first category of adjectives that we will discuss are adjective of quality or descriptive adjective. Right, so as you can know from the name itself that what is their basic function. So their basic function is to simply describe the noun, tell a little detail about the particular noun, which shows like what kind. As I told you, a black pen. So what type of pen? A black pen, maybe a black ink pen that has ink which is black in color. Examples: clever boy, green grass. Again, green is here describing the color of that grass. Small box, so the size of the box. A hot day, so the temperature of the day, here it is hot. Round eraser, so again the shape of the eraser, that is round. So in all these examples you can see that we are describing about simply what kind or what form, what color, what shape is the particular noun. So when you are just telling additional detail about the noun, then it is descriptive adjective, and also all of these are abstract in nature or a property or a quality, so they are called as adjective of quality. Then you have the next category, that is adjectives of quantity. Now adjectives of quantity are the ones which tell you how many or how much. So if you are discussing, asking about how many pens do you have, and I am answering as I have 2. So I am telling you the number of pen, that is 2. So when you are telling about quantity in terms of maybe countable or uncountable, then you are mentioning two adjectives of quantity. Example, it can be both definite and indefinite. See, it can be definite when there is something which is a countable noun, and when there is an uncountable noun, then definitely it will be indefinite in nature. Like if I'm asking how much water do you have, so you will answer me I have some water. You cannot count water, no? So that case it will become indefinite. But if I'm asking how many students are there in the class and you answer as 34, so 34 is a definite number, that is a countable noun. Similarly, the adjective of quantity will also become definite and indefinite. Like one boy, some water, 3 pens, many pencils, second girl, and all men. Now we will discuss the third type of adjective, that is possessive adjective. So when do we use possessive adjective? When we want to tell who is the owner or to whom that particular thing belongs, then you will use possessive adjective. That I've already discussed possessive in pronouns. Similar is the case here. Example, my house. So if anybody is asking whose house is that, then you are answering my house. So here you are using the house is being described as yours, and that is the adjective that is coming over here. Similarly, her books, your father, and our school. Also, we have demonstrative adjective. Now, demonstrative adjectives are used to point or to refer to some particular set of noun. Like, where is this place? So, if you are asking where is this place, so that is you are referring to some particular place in the location. Then, whose book is this? Then you are referring to this particular book, not any book, but particular book that has a name of some particular subject or on some particular topic. Then that house, these girls, those boys. So in all these examples, we are pointing to a particular noun or a set of groups or a noun clause. Then we have proper adjective. Now what is proper adjective? When you are referring to a proper noun and you are describing something about that proper noun, then it is a proper adjective. Like in the above you can see this book. So here book is a common noun because I have not mentioned the name of any book. So this book, here adjective is being used with a common noun, then it is demonstrative. But when adjective is being used with a proper noun, then it is proper adjective. Like Japanese students, American history. So you are referring to particular history of a particular country, people, that is America, and here American history becomes thus a proper adjective. Similarly, you have Korean film, French lessons, Mexican food, and Ritz crackers. Now moving on to the last type of adjective, that are predicative adjective. So these are not a modifier of a noun but always a complement. So these are not used to tell something additional about the noun, but they are used to complete the sentence or to synchronize the first information that is mentioned in the subject, and they act as a complement. Example, if we write Tom was successful, this sentence is complete. Okay, here successful is a complement of the subject. So you are telling, maybe there is a question like what was the result of the fight, and the answer is Tom was successful. So here you are telling about Tom's result and completing this sentence in the predicate or object. Then here this adjective is called predicative adjective because adjective is being used in the predicate. Similarly, if we write but as successful used in a different form, like Tom here, successful is the predicative adjective. But here's, if you are mentioning like who was successful, he was successful. So he was successful, again you will be using this as a general noun. But if you're referring to some particular proper noun and you are using it in the predicate form, then it becomes the predicative adjective. So that's all in this video. Thank you.